Opening day has came, passed, and is already over. Wow, already here. It's incredible to see. And MacKenzie Gore throwing out 13 Ks on his first outing against the Phils. Oh, we got that and more coming up on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. You can find me on Twitter, X, or whatever we call it at Matthew_Ane. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And please, if you're listening on audio, please subscribe there as well and leave us a 5-star rating and review. It'll really help out the show. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, check us out over on Subtext and become a member of the Diamond Club, where you'll stay ahead of all your league mates and you'll be able to tackle them and beat them to every punch on every prospect call up and even be able to ask us questions. So check us out on there. Links in the description below. But let's get into it. Happy opening day. I can't believe we're already day 2 into the season. It's absolutely incredible. And man, it was an exciting day. We got to see some really great performances, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. Specifically, we're going to open up with Mr. MacKenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals. Quite honestly, my guy really went out there and impressed. Obviously, like I said at the top of the show, 13 strikeouts in 6 innings. Absolutely incredible. Did not give up a single run and had a whip of .16. Like, wow, way to go actually watch that game. Headed out, got to watch the Phillies game around here. And, man, he looked incredible. I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of shadows. You can kind of play up to that too, where, like, the sun was pretty much, like, in these guys' eyes while they were at plate, things like that. But, like, man, he just looked electric. The pitching was moving. He was getting up there in ticks. He really had a really good, day at the mound, honestly. Fastball was sitting at, like, 95 miles an hour, almost 96. X batting average against him was .098. Absolutely incredible. Average exit velocity against him was a little bit on the higher end side, 93.5 miles an hour, which can get dangerous at times. So hopefully that doesn't lead to some home runs. He got guys to chase, though. Phillies were chasing like a monster, probably trying to get in the swings of things too. So, give a little grace to them. Did get them to chase, though, 40% of the time and created whiffs 40% of the time. So it was really handle himself, was creating Ks 72.2% of the time. Didn't really walk anybody. It was absolutely incredible. Guys really didn't battle against him. And the only thing another thing to go along with the average exit velocity is how often he allowed hard contact. That was 60% of the time. So it's something to be, I would say, weary of. Hey, there is going to be blow up games with MacKenzie Gore, but any pitcher kind of has that kind of, outcome where, they're going to have a bad game. MacKenzie Gore is an interesting prospect going into the year in terms of prospect to, pick up and such. So MacKenzie Gore, for that, I would say, hey, man, like, let's go out there. Let's start him, I think, until he proves otherwise. And if he's out there in your leagues, which it's going up by the day, I think, yesterday when we thought we were going to record was at 75%. He's already up another 4%. He's now at 79%, but he's still out there in 21% of leagues. Now, normally, I wouldn't say, hey, he'd be on a waiver wire episode. He's exceeded, that threshold of where we say, hey, this is the guy you need to go and look and add because he's out there in a lot of leagues. He's not, but in the leagues he is, he should be added. I think it doesn't matter if it's shallow or not at this point. MacKenzie Gore just needs that ad. We talk about, you've heard us talk about it quite often too. The first couple of weeks are always sitting around where you got, pitchers and hitters coming out of nowhere that essentially provide all season long fantasy value. So I think MacKenzie Gore might fall into that category. We'll see. I think the breakout is possibly imminent. Was a great pitching prospect. Ended the year great last year. So I think we just need to stay on top of him, add him if it's possible. If not, just pray that you don't have to face him. And hopefully you didn't have to face him this week. But anyway, let's move on. I spent a lot of time on him. I want to move over to Hunter Green of the Cincinnati Reds. And he was another one, had a great outing as well. Honestly, this is just all happy news on this episode. So he went out about 5 innings, got about 8 strikeouts, which to be expected, an ERA of 3.60 and a whip of .8. Great things. A little bit higher on the ERA side, I would say. But, I'm not disappointed. The FIP was actually sitting at 2.95. So, I'm not really mad. And to follow up with the spring training numbers of, having an ERA of, legit 5.57, which was a little discouraging. To see him come out and do this is a little bit more, makes me a little bit more happy. The strikeouts are always going to be there with this dude. He's got electric stuff. And I think that we're going to have a grand old time with him all year. The fastball velocity was sitting at 99.2 miles per hour to yesterday. X batting average against him was actually 0.096. You know, just gave up a little too much hard contact doing that in, Great American Hitter Park. Reds home field is a little bit dangerous because balls fly out of there. It's a very short porch and things like that. So again, something to watch out for. But it obviously created whiffs at a consistent rate of 34% of the time. Strikeout guys, created the Ks at 42.1% of the time. Didn't really walk guys, only 5.3%. Again, loud guys a barrel yesterday 10% of the time. But even though the average exit velocity was up to 89.6 miles an hour, the hard contact itself was down to 30%. So that's pretty decent. I would just like him to kind of, introduce a little bit more of the ground balls. And I think that he'll really pose to be a start anywhere and not have to question things. But, he really leaned on that fastball yesterday, throwing that 70% of the time. And, got the put away with that though, like literally like 21% and got a whiff with that 29.4% of the time. It has some serious stuff. I mean, going that fast too. There's nothing you could say on that. You know what I'm saying? Then that slider yesterday was thrown about 22% of the time. And nobody hit that yesterday, which is absolutely wonderful. Look, Hunter Green is going to be a stellar pitcher. I had him ranked as a 15 going into the season at the position. So SP 15, you didn't have to pay that price, which was wonderful. I got him on all the leagues that I'm in, funny enough, because he is one coming at a great value. Two, I think has SP1 upside at some point if he can figure out that, giving up hard contact aspect of, the average exit velocity was and able to produce a little bit more ground balls. And we might see that evolution this year, but he's going to be a strikeout machine. And if you pair him with guys that, like a Sandy or a Logan Webb, you can make up for the higher ERA games and the mid 3 ERA and kind of bring that down. So if you complemented the two, then you really did a good job. And Hunter Green is going to be great for your team this year. I think that we're starting with confidence no matter what. Even though we saw a poor ERA in spring, weren't really buying into it. So Hunter Green, I feel, is just straight up like a guy that I'm glad I drafted. I don't think you're going to be able to go out and buy, and just a guy that you should be glad that you have him on your team and pray you don't have to face him either. Now, this next one here, Carlos Rodon of the New York Yankees. Now I'm all yanked out, obviously. It was a good game yesterday. They won, of course. Rodon had a really good game. Let me put it that way. 5 innings, 7 Ks, 1.69 ERA with a whip of 1.12. Really good game, solid. The FIP was sitting at 389 though, which I kind of buy into if I'm really looking at it. I like Rodon, but I think we're past where we saw the eliteness where he was on San Fran. I think when he came over to the Yankees after that, the shoulder injuries and things like that, I just don't think him anymore. The spring training is something I took more to heart than I would with a Hunter Green. Just based off of age and mileage on that shoulder and things like that. It's kind of just something that I'm kind of not feeling great about. And him posting a 5.4 ERA through spring through 10 innings with 10 strikeouts and a 1.8 whip shows that I really hope this doesn't carry in. I'm glad to see the um, good performance from him. I'm glad that, things are, looking pretty good. The FIP makes me a little nervous just because, obviously it's 2 runs higher than what his ERA posted. So it's something to be cautious about. And then we look at the underlying stats too, X batting average is really 203 against him. X ERA was more like a 313, which is still more than a run and a half higher than what he posted. You know, Average exit velocity was nice, so did keep that down, sitting at 84.7, which is really good. Got guys to chase nearly 40%. Created whiffs 35%. Struck out the guys 31%. Didn't really walk guys either. But the barreling and hard contact were serious, though. 7.7% of the time, he allowed guys to barrel, and hard contact 38.5. But he produced a lot of ground balls, and that's how you kind of counteract the hard contact. So if he can kind of keep this magic level, or even if he's giving up the hard contact, but able to produce the ground balls, there might be some room for some success, but I'm not banking on it with Carlos Rodon. I'm kind of like, I was out on him going into the season, and, you know, I want to see more from him. I have a feeling we're going to be selling high. He's going to be a guy I'm going to say selling high by the end of April and trying to capitalize on whatever value posts out if he continues on this streak of being it. But I'm seeing a higher FIP and a higher XERA. I kind of just want to see where this is going to take us. But if that's so, we're going to sell really, really high because I have a feeling the crash is going to be like the stock market back in, right before the Great Depression. So, we'll see with that. And, it's a hot, bold take, but, it is what it is. It's just my opinion, honestly. Coming up next, we're going to be talking more guys. We got more pitchers and we got some hitters coming up and some great performances there coming up right after this. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year. The energy is absolutely exciting and was unforgettable. And it was Luke Combs' concert. Now, Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets with your favorite events with their new feature called Game Time Picks. This feature filters out all the fluff and shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets for an up and coming concert. Honestly, I did. Blake Shelton got great seats for a great price, right? I used the Game Time app, which I've been doing way before the show and way before they were a sponsor. With Game Time Picks, I found an amazing deal that honestly could have even that was awesome, right? I could see the view right from my seat, made sure I wasn't sitting behind the pole, which is everybody's fear. The super deal was particularly impressive because they offered great seats at an unbeatable price. Plus, the app all-in-one pricing shows the total cost up front, which there's no surprises, which is great. Hey, I can actually afford this. Boom. It's not like, hey, ooh, great price. And then boom, $50 added to your price. And now it's like, do I really want to go? So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms again, create an account and redeem the code Locked On MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And all right, look, it's that time of the year. Look, it's beneficial to be part of the Diamond Club on Subtext before season, so you get all our rankings. But it's even more beneficial now than ever because now you're going to want to see, okay, who am I prioritizing on waivers? Which prospect is called, and am I going to get the fastest alert? Sleeper sometimes is late to some people on certain parts of the world, and just a certain, I guess, cell phone providers, right? Like I picked up a guy 30 minutes before my brother-in-law because hey, it came to me faster. You want that luck? You want that extra little insight into who got called up? Yo, Diamond Club, you're getting a text message right to your phone for those alerts. So don't miss out. Links in the description below. I promise you're not going to want to miss out. We're going to keep you ahead of the whole league. So check us out on there. All right, let's get back into baseball. So, like I promised, Sandy Alcantara first start back from TJ. And it was a good start. Maybe not the greatest ERA, but a good start for a guy coming fresh, doing a freshie, coming right out the gate here. 4.2 innings, 7 Ks, a 3.86 ERA with a 1.286 whip. Now, look, to be expected. Even though spring was looking real monstrous and he looked like his old self, but still posted only a 3.65 ERA with, I'm sorry, wrong stat. Here we go. Didn't have a single earned run. He threw 12 innings and 10 strikeouts, was looking like himself. But again, small sample size, 12 innings and spread out. Now we're going 4 innings deep. It's a little bit different. You're seeing more than one time through the rotation. It's not spring anymore. You got the jitters. All that wonderful stuff is there. I think he's going to be fine. I think we're gonna have an inflated ERA. I think probably more like a 3.4 ERA, 3.3 ERA, and that's going to still be fine. You'll never get the K per strikeout. K per inning, but we're gonna see a decent amount. So the thing is, like, they may have him on a little bit of an innings limit. We'll see, maybe 100, 180, 185 innings, which is still great. But you'll probably see like 170 strikeouts, which still isn't bad. With Sandy, though, I think he's going to be a reliable piece. He's going to click at some point. It's just going to be nonstop. The control is the last bit to come back anyway when returning from TJ. So just be aware that you got to be a little patient with him. We got him at a price where it's not going to matter, but I'm not running out and dropping. I'm not super scared. I mean, still, it's under a 4 ERA anyway. It was still a good showing. We just want to see him go deeper into games, and we want to see, just him and being able to suppress the run. And, let's just look under the hood a little bit too to see how that game went. So he had really good movement on his breaking ball, fastball. Off-speed pitches were a little flat, but still overall good. The xERA was significantly better than the ERA posted. That was sitting at 259 versus a 3.86. So I'm not really upset with it. The batting average was 148. Fastball velocity was definitely up there at 97.6. So that's key right there. Did allow average exit velocity to sit at about 89.4 when guys did make contact with the ball. Didn't get guys to chase as much with 26.5% of the time, but he did create the whiffs at nearly 40% at 37.2. Struck out guys 35% of the time. Walked guys a little too much, obviously, but again, control. And then didn't really allow guys to barrel. It was pretty level peg. And then even hard contact was sitting still at a pretty decent number at 33% of the time, but produced ground balls, which is key. And that's how you suppress allowing certain things like that, like I was talking about with these other guys. So Sandy's doing the right thing. Under the hood, it looks a lot better than what he posted in the stat sheet. Let's see what the FIP is. But the FIP, on the other hand, is like a 403, which is about a little bit lower than what he posted. 414. Oh, sorry, reading the wrong one. I'm sorry, 386 versus a 252. That's twice I've done that. I apologize. So, like, all signs point green, though, even though we just saw a bad outing. Look, he didn't give up a home run, which is key. He just gave up. There was just some bad stuff going on. And he put himself into trouble. I didn't have a true opportunity to watch the Marlins game, unfortunately, so I can't say, hey, this is exactly what went down with Sandy Alcantara. But what I can say is I'm looking under the hood and I'm not worried. And I'm looking like, hey, I want to go grab him. Now, this is a key one. You can actually go out and probably try and trade for him. Try and go out and buy low. That might be the key to success with Sandy Alcantara right now. You didn't draft him. He went at a cheap enough draft price where people aren't married to him. They might be a little disappointed too. Like, oh, we took the shot. He got lit up. It's not lit up, but enough where he got dinged around a little bit. And take advantage of guys not looking under the hood either. So a lot of fantasy players don't. So try and go out there, get Sandy Alcantara, and see if you can make a trade. I can't say exactly what I trade. I need to see teams. I need to know a few things about your league. So if you have questions, either drop in the comments below or hit us up on subtext, and we'll see if we can answer them and see if we can get you Sandy Alcantara on your team. We'll see. I'm doing it today. I'm totally dropping out some nice buy low options for Sandy. We'll see. Let's move on. Let's talk about Sean Burke, our last pitcher here from the Chicago White Sox. And Sean Burke also got the opening day nod, which was interesting. We talked about him maybe on sleeper episodes / watch list kind of guy. And it's nice to see that he was out there and he got the opening day nod and was able to live up to it. He had what? 6 innings, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs, and a .5 whip. Like, great numbers. That's exactly what we want to see from a young dude coming out and getting the open day nod. It's interesting. I'm actually really intrigued to see what he's going to do next in his next start. The Angels weren't a team that we really are scared of. They pretty much just have Mike Trout out there, which, it is what it is. It's opening day. Who knows what happened, but I don't think he gets lucky a second time again. And, the fact that he went 6 innings, though, is great. So let's stay on top. I'm going to add him, and quite honestly, in whatever league I can, just to see if I can take a shot on him. He's still only 14% owned. So, he's a guy that another one that falls in the same category as, hey, there's a pitcher, you picked him up in the beginning of the season, and he turns out to have either a couple months or the whole season value. We don't know. He has some decent stuff. Like, he's a big dude. He sits at 6'6", 240 pounds. Like, he has a decent arsenal too, a slider, 4-seam fastball, curveball, changeup, sinker. And he's not like a distinctive, like, I lean on one pitch. He leans on 2 heavy pitches, hard body, slider, and his fastball. Throwing the slider 38.4% of the time, throwing the 4-seam fastball about 37% of the time yesterday. Curveball threw in there almost 20% of the time. And the pitch was looking good. The only one that really got hit was the 4-seam fastball, but his slider was absolutely untouchable. Same thing with the curveball. So, oh no, the curveball got hit too. I apologize, but really was able to do damage yesterday and be effective. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm adding him to see what's going to look like. Fastball looks like it needs a little bit more movement because they're saying right now in the underlying stats, hey, it's just a little bit on the flat side, but that can be fixed. A little grip change, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we could see some big changes. But I think we're in to see a show, and I kind of want to add him and see, is this real or not? And if the matchup is right, I'm going to roll him out there because cupcake matchups and a decent pitcher that's able to post something like this, I'm going to take it all day long. So Sean Burke, I think, is an ad, and let's see what happens. All right, coming up next, we're going to move into our batters. I'm going to move a lot faster, and we'll be able to round this thing out and talk about some really good bat performances coming up next. Okay, here we go. Baseball season is in full swing, no pun intended. There is no better way to get in the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less than at least 2 player stat projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, ribbies, or first inning runs, Prize Picks keeps your every game exciting. Build my lineup, which I have this week. I'm picking Aaron Judge for at least 1 home run, and Shohei Ohtani for at least 1 more than stolen base projected for him. So it should be easy and simple. They're both studs. Fast and simple. You can pretty much just set up your lineup in less than 60 seconds. And when you win, the payout is quick, safe, and secure. I always take advantage of Taco Tuesday as well. They're great promotions where Prize Picks offers discounts on select players for projections for even more value, right? So download the app today and use the code Locked On MLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That code is LOCKEDON MLB for $50 off after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And all right, sorry about all the construction going on outside. I can't control the street work. Oh, my bad. But it's going to be good. We're going to just keep going through it. All right. So let's go get right into it. Cedric Mullins of the Baltimore Orioles, having a game yesterday, I will say, looked mighty good for that small little stint. Here we go. So 5 at bats, 2 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, and batted 600 on the day, had an OPS of 240, like, yo, 200 and 2.40, 400. Yeah, whatever we say it, slug was sitting at 1.8. Like, dude was looking real good, posting up a really nice opening day. Obviously, I'm not buying into this for the whole season, but, he's definitely a guy we can ride the wave and kind of like see how long he's hot. Like, a lot of people are drafting him and we're excited to own him, but Mullins is getting up there in age. He's 30 years old. Honestly, you know, hasn't been my cup of tea for a couple years. You know, Stolen base numbers were always great, but batting average kind of dipped over the last couple years. 23 he batted 223 at 233 last year, 234. You know, I'm not really like super inclined to really own him in a lot of leagues. If he was still batting the 258 like he did in 22 or in 21 where he batted 291, I'd be a lot more excited to own him, with the 230 stolen base seasons. Now it's kind of like, all right, whatever. You know, he's pretty much just a stolen base, like guy and not even hitting for average. I mean, yes, he's on a good team, but it depends on where they're going to move him around in that lineup is, going to create his value. Doesn't really have power. He only had that one season in 21. So like, I just don't know how to feel or be with him at this point. And like, yeah, today was great. If he keeps going, maybe you try and sell high. But I don't even know what you're gonna get from him. He's 66% owned. So I mean, you can also add him and see if the wave just continues and he just wants to open up hot as hell. And then we can kind of just go from there. But with Cedric Mullins, I'm not really taking this seriously. This is kind of just like a whatever pick for me. But let's move on. Let's talk about Wilyer Abreu of the Boston Red Sox. My guy had another nice day, had a really nice opening day as well. You know, multiple dingers. He had 2 dingers going into the day with 4 ribs, 3 runs, and had perfect batting average, and even walked. Points leagues, he absolutely nuked it for your day. And just, great day overall. Abreu is not somebody I'm like going out and trying to acquire. I mean, if he's out there on the waivers, let's see what the ownership percentage is. But like when it comes to him, I'm not really like, okay, cool. Like he's 27% owned, so I might add him just because, he's an outfielder, but I'm not gonna take him serious and try and own him the whole year and think there's, full 2025 year value all around. Like, nah, I'm not believing in that. It's not like he's elite in stolen bases. He only had 8 last year. It's not like he has power because he had 15 last year in total. You know, there's just things that are just missing from his game that I kind of feel like, okay, he was a good prospect, but he wasn't a guy that we're all like, oh, I'm so excited to get Abreu this year. You look at even his track record in the minors, like, yeah, he had posted that 22 home runs through 299 at bats 1 year. But other than that, it was, 19 home runs through 457 at bats. It's been all over the place. And it's just like, do you really want to, bank on that? I don't know if I am. All the underlying stats look absolutely monstrous, but again, a day. It's not really insight that I really want to highlight, but I do want to move on. Okay. So let's talk about Tyler O'Neill again of the same team. And that one, this one is fun. Straight up fun. Boston Red Sox again. Power guy hits a dinger, does exactly what I drafted him to do, and has a really nice day. He has 1 home run, uh, 3 runs, no doubles, no triples, but also 3 ribs, 2 walks, no strikeouts. Had a really nice day. This is exactly why you drafted Tyler O'Neill, right? Like Tyler O'Neill, you pretty much know he's going to be a steady income of power, and then essentially, not do much else for you. Batting average, I think, has the ability to be higher. for the last, like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years have not been stellar for him, but he also really hasn't been able to stay healthy either. So maybe if he has a consistent season where he's healthy for a good chunk of the year, then maybe we could see like, like a 4 category contributor. But again, he has to stay healthy. But who knows? If this is the year, I'm definitely in on O'Neill. I think Tyler O'Neill was a guy that like we were talking targeting obviously in our drafts because we really did believe in him. We had him ranked that way. And I'm sorry, I said the wrong team. He's not on the Boston Red Sox anymore. He's on the Orioles. Silly me. But again, I like the team even more because I like the fact that he's on the Orioles even more. I apologize for that. But ultimately, hey, I think he's going to be good this season as long as he can stay healthy. Let's see what happens with him. Tyler O'Neill for the W and a great opening day. Let's move on. Let's talk about same team, and this time I am correct. Adley Rutschman, catcher for those Baltimore Orioles. And hey, great game. Great way to say, hey guys. So yes, I was the number one catching prospect and one of the best hitting prospects. A few years ago. Just take me a little time to adjust. Hey, I'm here. I mean, Spring said he was having a good year, but it's nicer to see him do it on opening day. He literally had 2 home runs. He had three runs. He had 3 ribs and batted 600 on the day. Looking real good, real good. The spring numbers were great, so it might have been something that was indicating, hey, we're going to see a nice year from him. So he had 42 at bats, 10 runs, a double, 3 bombs, 8 ribs, and batted 357. So hey, maybe it's coming. Do I still think he was worth the price that you paid for in the draft? Absolutely not. Too high for a catcher. He's still not going to outpace a lot of bats that were going around and doesn't have the upside that other guys have. Yes, it gives you positional eligibility, but who cares? If I'm passing up on a guy that, had the ability to do more in a roto league or a head-to-head categories league, then no, I don't want him. And same thing even in points. You still have to be able to go out there and outproduce the guys around you. And that's kind of always been my argument for high picked catchers, essentially. I can't see it. So with Adley, he may have a monster season. He may be the next Buster Posey. We'll see. I hope for his sake, for us as fantasy baseball players, I hope so too. But he's got to do it first, and then we could start having a different conversation about how I'm approaching Adley Rutschman specifically. Other than that, we'll see. Let's move on. Let's get into our last guy here, Fernando Tatis Jr. of the San Diego Padres, going off yesterday. Whew. Lord, Lord, Lord. If you had him yesterday, you were a happy, happy, happy boy. So he's not like he 100% blew you away, but you're happy to see what he was doing. And the reason why is for no other reason than we saw speed. He stole 2 bases in this game already, batted 750, and had 2 runs. Now, he didn't show off his power, but we all know he's got power. Look, Fernando Tatis last year, even in his shortened season at 398 at bats, he still had 21 home runs. The power had never left. I think this is the kind of rebirth of his career. There's no, steroids. There's no, I got hurt riding my motorcycle or any kind of other baby garbage that's outside of baseball that could get in his way. As long as he can keep his head, focused on the game itself through the season, we're going to see a great season from him. I think that this is the year it paid off. He was going later in the first round and some leagues falling into the second round. This year is the year. I have a feeling that is 100% Fernando Tatis's year, where we're talking about him next year as a top 5 pick. Tatis has all the makings in the world. He could easily go 30-30. He can easily have a nice 100 and 100 because the team is still good, even without guys that have left that team, and hit for average. If he goes out and hits like 276, 275, 280, like you're happy with that production if you're getting 30-30 and 100 and 100. Like that is first round, top 5 pick kind of caliber player. And Fernando Tatis, I think, has the upside. We all know he has the upside. It's just a matter of, getting him across the finish line with that. And I think this year's the year. I'm truly excited. This is his first instinct of just like inclination of him really running. You know, that's the one thing the last like 2 years, last year that we didn't get to see it all, only 11 stolen bases. And that's a little disappointing. I want to see him get back to that and do that 30-30 season again and just get us all hot and bothered and excited. So let's see what Fernando Tatis can do this year. Guys, thank you for hanging out and dealing with all the background noise. I apologize, but it was a great show. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for my everydayers and my new listeners because, hey, we love doing it. Welcome to the show and welcome back, obviously, always. So please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show. Dom and I like to keep the lights on. Unfortunately, wasn't able to be with us because, you know, I kind of decided to enjoy opening day and wasn't able to record. So I'm here recording by myself. So it's on me. I apologize. But, Come back next week. We're gonna be getting right into our regular flow. That's waiver wires, who to pick up on Monday. What was it? Wario meter, trade for, buy low, sell high kind of type episodes, all that kind of stuff that you're gonna need to win your leagues coming up all this season long. So stay ahead and look ahead to next week and come back next week. Got you. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy baseball. Peace out.